The flower, quite simple, I have already outlined with resist. And first I'll show you what color powder dyes I'm going to use today. I have 3 colors so far. First is crimson, quite saturated and bright blue with elements of turquoise, and the third color is a lemon yellow. So I mix yellow with crimson and get a pretty muted ochre. Please note, I don't paint each petal individually. I look at the flower as a whole object and distribute the color as if in large patches. And I spread the bluish color in the same way. If you are familiar with the color wheel, these are primary colors, and I really love working with them because you can create any range with a million shades. I dilute the color quite a lot with water, so the shades turned out lyrical, muted, and that's why they easily combine with each other, or maybe it's better to say they suit each other. I'd like to zoom in on the flower, while still leaving the palette in the frame to make it clearer how the colors blend together. And this is where I have porous paper to dry the brush. Unfortunately, I can't fit everything in the frame. And this is what happens if the resist doesn't dry well enough. It clings to the brush and leaves marks. I don't have any particular color concept. I paint as it goes. The only thing I'm sure of is that I'm going to paint this flower following the first way shown in this video, which means that my flower will be darker in the center, and it's not even a fact that it's going to be lighter around the edges. Most likely it will turn out that the petals along the entire length will be the same tone, I mean on the light-dark scale, and only to the center the flower will be darker. My task today is to paint a fairly simple flat flower, making it as interesting as possible through picturesqueness, through the variety of shades and transitions, and without a lot of dark-light contrast. I have already mentioned this video in which we first nicely drew approximately the same simple flower, but there I used only 2 colors, and everything was much simpler. And today I would like to show a more complex, more painterly approach to the same simple flat flower. I'm already starting to darken closer to the center of the flower. The vividness is obtained not only because of mixing the colors on the palette, but the colors mix with each other on the silk, and thus the overall range is made more complex, more interesting and challenging. I'll try to show you that almost any gamut is achieved by mixing those 3 colors. I have now taken the scale into warm brownish shades, and now I'm adding light shadows to the petals that are beneath the upper petals, making the flower look spatial. You know, playing with color is a great pleasure. It's all about relaxing and surrendering to the process, and you will probably feel how satisfying it is, and you would like to repeat this process of mixing colors over and over again. My dyes are sometimes so diluted that I dye practically with water. You may have noticed that if I take a color, let's say blue, I introduce it into several petals at once, both those that are mostly blue and those that are a different shade, and thus unifying all the transitions. I use more blue shades now, because that part of the flower I have is mostly beige. And to make the flower look organic and cohesive, I'm going to make the second part bluish. Yes, a slightly different shade, but still blue. And by adding pinkish shades, I kind of combine the color of these petals with those that were painted at the start. And as planned in the beginning, I make the middle of the flower dark and the shadows on the lower petals. And for contrast with the dark center, these small petals I'm going to leave completely light. And now it's the right time to introduce black to my dyes. I talked about my dyes in this video, but for today's technique it doesn't matter at all whether you use paints or dyes. The little light petals will stand out even more in the dark surroundings. And almost the entire flower was painted with 3 colors. Black was added minimally to only enhance one spot. And how painterly it turned out. I would really like you to enjoy color mixing as much as I do. If you are just starting to paint silk, you don't have to spend a lot of money on a wide range of colors. As you can see, these 3 colors plus black are quite enough.